name is Gloria Kirabo from Uganda Civil Aviation Authority. I work as Principal Bird Hazard and Wildlife Control Officer. Thank you, AviAssist, for this opportunity to share my experience. My topic of discussion will be data management as an effective tool towards aviation wildlife hazard control. Data management is really, in simple terms, making observations and taking record of those observations and then analyzing the observations you have made to get some meaningful information that can help you make change or effect some method. So that's what I'm basically going to talk about. So data management involves data collection, and at Entebbe we have a number of different data we collect. So we collect wildlife species. We also, the different types of species there. We also collect wildlife strikes. We record incidents that have happened, and this is actually a requirement by KEO. We also record data to do with habitats, different habitats, for example, grass height, so that we can understand what species are attracted to different types of grass and the different heights. So it's very important to know what type of species you're looking at. Some species, say, of birds are very similar in the way they look, but they behave totally differently, and they are also attracted by different things to the airport. So it's very important to identify species right, because when you identify them right, then you manage them right. It's also important to do some kind of risk assessment of the different species we have at our airports, because then we know what type of management tools to use for those different species. As I've mentioned, different species or different birds or different animals are attracted by different things, so they cannot all be managed in one lump sum type of management plan. After you've collected your data, of course you must analyze it, because analyzing is getting meaning out of that data. So I have a slide here showing ICAO statistics, and this is of course from all over the world. They're showing the different seasons when we expect most incidents to happen. Then after you have analyzed your data, you have to know who this information is for. What is it for? Who's the consumer of this information? First of all, the wildlife hazard management team is going to benefit a lot from well-documented data and that is analyzed, because then they can predict easily when to expect most wildlife coming to the airport, and therefore they're able to prepare well. They're able to prepare adequately, and therefore less strikes are likely to happen. We also can tell, through analysis, you can tell, is this method really working? Because different methods will work for different species. So when you're collecting, you're able to tell that this method is working or it is not. And remember, some species actually get used to the methods we are using to control them, so that with time they become not very effective. Pilots also benefit from our collection of data, because they can know that through certain seasons they should expect certain more incidents than others, more wildlife activity than others. Therefore, they are more cautious in those seasons. Then also, when we are able to present our statistics to management, it's easier to get the tools we need when we can easily show that a certain method is going to work to manage wildlife at the airport. I have two examples from Entebbe. One is about an African fish eagle, which is a species we think we have under control now, It's fairly large. It's about 3 kilograms, and it's a very territorial bird. It's attracted, of course, to the fish near the lake. We're right next to the lake, so it gets its fish from right from the lake and has a habit of bringing it to the grass strips of the airport. So and the way it would do it, it would stand to get its fish and then stand on the termite mounds. So because of the termite mounds that were a good place for it it could feed easily, comfortably, we removed the termite. We now practice removal of termite mounds, of anthills, and therefore we have marked a significant reduction in strikes associated with this bird. And in fact, we don't find, it's not a common species we see at the airport. Just by managing the anthills, we have, and of course a lot of foot patrolling around the airport, we have found that this method has really worked for us to control this species. The last species I want to talk about is the black kite. The black kite is a difficult species to control. Many airports will tell you it's very stubborn. However, we have marked some success with it, and the method we have used for this particular species is foot patrolling. Again, we have foot patrollers that do foot patrols. They walk along the grass strips, and so they are able to discourage birds from perching or from staying around those areas. Then we also have the bird scare cartridges, which we have found that are effective in managing black kites. But also black kites, usually because they are scavenging birds, they will come to feed on birds that have been hit. When you have a bird strike, they'll be almost the first ones to come and feed on those birds that have been hit. So we have a method where we quickly remove any carcasses that we will find on the runway after a bird strike, and that has given us some success. We're not yet completely there, but we have marked some success with a black kite. With that, I would like to conclude by saying it's really important that airports are able to collect good data, because it is very useful in the way we actually manage our wildlife. Thank you very much.